tanning bags are no big deal. Well, as a tanning bed user myself, that's what I thought. That's what Megan, a redhead with a milky white complexion, thought too, according to Teen Vogue. When she was 17, she got a tan on a vacation that she was determined to keep. She soon started using tanning beds without her parents' permission, once a week for 2 years to maintain her new skin color. Then, during a routine physical, Megan asked her doctor about a dark, itchy mole on her stomach. It was later diagnosed as stage 2 melanoma, the deadliest form of skin cancer. She underwent surgery to remove a portion of her stomach skin and 8 lymph nodes under her arm. A 5-inch scar from 70 stitches is a visible reminder of the cancer, which her doctor confirmed was caused by her frequent use of tanning. Megan said that her parents warned her against indoor tanning, but that the salon felt safe and sterile, almost medical. So it didn't seem that bad. It's a common misconception that tanning beds are a safe way to get a tan. The truth is, there is no safe tan. According to the FDA, any tan is a sign of skin damage. A tan is the skin's reaction to exposure to UV rays. The skin recognizes the exposure as an insult and then acts in self-defense by producing more melanin, a pigment that darkens the skin. While tanning beds claim to offer health benefits and a healthy glow, what you really get out of them, why we continue to use them, and the recommendations we've made about tanning beds will be the focus of today's speech. There are 2 types of UV radiation that penetrate the skin, are UVA and UVB rays. UVA rays have the longest wavelength and are the most abundant. All UVA radiation passes through the ozone layer and penetrates to the deeper layers of the skin. UVA rays give skin its initial tan color, but prolonged exposure to UVA can lead to damage. UVB rays have a shorter wavelength and penetrate the top layers of the skin. They are primarily responsible for sunburn. While the skin comes in contact with the UV radiation, the rays alter the DNA of the skin. Most of the time, the body can repair this damage to the DNA. But when the DNA cannot be fixed, a problem develops. According to Dr. Ellen Marmer of the CBS Evening News, the sun emits both types of UV rays, as do tanning beds. The main difference is that in a tanning bed, the rays can be 12 times stronger than those from the sun. The FDA and the WHO are practically considered about children and teens being exposed to UV rays. Childhood exposure to UV radiation and the number of times a child is burned by UV rays are known to increase the risk of developing melanoma. Teenage girls and young women make up a growing number of tanning bed customers. Stephanie Barrett, a local tanning salon owner, stated that over 85% of her tanning customers are under the age of 27. The International Agency for Research on Cancer reports that women who use the tanning bed more than once a month are 55% more likely to develop melanoma, the deadliest type of cancer. They also report that there is a 75% increase in the risk of melanoma among those who first use tanning beds in their teens or 20s. Exposure to UV radiation is hazardous to one's health for many reasons. Rates of skin cancer among young women are rapidly on the rise. In the last 30 years, melanoma diagnosed have increased by nearly 50%. Melanoma accounts for about 4% of skin cancers, but it causes almost 80% of skin cancer deaths. Of the 68,000 people in the U.S. that will learn they have melanoma this year, 1 out of 8 will die. While melanoma gets a lot of consideration, doctors believe 2 other prevalent types of cancer are also connected to tanning beds. According to Dr. David Fisher, chairman of the dermatology department at Harvard Medical School, squamous and basal cell carcinomas are cancers linked to indoor tanning and are far more common than melanoma. They receive less attention since they are less likely to kill, but treatment can still involve major surgery and disfigure scars. In addition to the serious risk of skin cancer, tanning can also result in structural damage to human skin. UV rays cause the skin to lose elasticity and wrinkle prematurely. This leathery look may not show up until many years after you have had a tan or sunburn. Exposure to UV radiation can also cause irreversible damage to the eyes, which can include cataract, pterygium, a white-colored growth known as cornea, and eye cancer. Furthermore, excessive UVB exposure can suppress the immune system, which leads to be more vulnerable to infectious diseases. Even with all the documented health risks in tanning beds being classified as carcinogenic to humans by the International Agency for Research of Cancer, more than 1 million people visit them daily. Why they continued patronage of tanning salons? That may in part be due to the mixed messages being sent by the Indoor Tanning Association. The ITA states on its website that indoor tanning offers more control than outdoor exposure, since the risks associated with UV light have been overstated and the benefits ignored. Dr. Jeffrey Dover, professor of dermatology at Yale Medical School, responded by saying that while you can control the exposure time in a tanning bed, you can also frequent them more often than most people lie out in the sun. The lights in a tanning bed are also optimized to produce a tan as fast as possible. The Skin Cancer Foundation states on its website that after reviewing decades of worldwide research, no positive health effects of indoor tanning. Some common myths about tanning beds were also proven false. Next, getting just a healthy glow is okay. Fact, the healthy glow is simply early sunburn, which makes the skin look a bit reddish and have a light suntan, both of which harm the skin. Myth, it's okay to get a base tan indoors to avoid burning on upcoming vacations. Fact, a base tan is no safer than a regular tan. A tan acquired using a tanning bed offers only limited protection against sunburn from solar UV rays. It has been estimated that a tanning bed offers the same protective effect as using a sunscreen with an SPF of only 2 degrees. Myth, indoor tanning is a safe way to get vitamin D. Fact, for the majority of the population, the incidental exposure to the sun combined with a...
The following need to report to the high school office, please. Annabelle Sutton, Alexa Duran, Damian Shady, Zach Jones, Michael Smith, David Sutton, Alyssa Crawford, Winter Hammond, Michael Bone, Caleb Dagan Flores, Cody Phillips, Charity Johnson, Caleb Willoughby.
Fact, for the majority of the population, the incidental exposure to sun combined with a normal dietary intake of vitamin D provides adequate amounts for a healthy body. If a lack occurs, it is much safer to take one single vitamin D tablet than it is to use a tanning bed. If teens and tanning beds are such a toxic myth, then why do it? According to Teen Vogue, over 2 million teens nationwide use them annually. Teenagers and young adults often have that "it won't happen to me" mentality. They think they are not vulnerable to skin cancer because it's an old person's disease that happens after many years out in the sun. They also have difficulty thinking about their own mortality. To discourage the use of tanning beds, the government has considered implementing recommendations made by the FDA and other leading health organizations. The federal government recently implemented a 10% tax on tanning beds to help offset the cost of healthcare reform. It is unclear whether that will be enough to discourage indoor tanners. The FDA Advisory Committee has also outlined several recommended restrictions related to tanning bed use. These include a ban on tanning bed used by people with the palest skin and a reclassification of tanning beds from the current Class 1 designation. The change in class would allow for labeling requirements, performance standards, and operator training requirements. The FDA, along with the WHO, recommends a total ban on minors being able to use tanning beds, or at very least, educating parents and their kids of the dangers of tanning bed usage. In a study conducted by the National Cancer Institute, researchers posed a 15-year-old fair-skinned girl who has never tanned before. By telephone, they asked more than 6,000 tanning facilities about their practices. Less than 11% of the facilities followed FDA's recommended exposure schedule of 3 or fewer sessions the first week. After 71% said they would allow a team to tan all 7 days the first week, and many promoted frequent tanning with unlimited discount packages. About 87% of the facilities required parental consent, leading the researchers to conclude that many parents are allowing their teens to tan and are providing written consent or accompanying them. For those who still wish to have the healthy glow, there are safe alternatives to tanning beds. For example, on the market today, there are numerous self-tanning lotions and sprays that can be done in one's own home, very cheap. They are of a much better quality today than they used to be. No longer do they give you an orange-colored skin. Instead, they are very natural looking. For those who are willing to spend a little more, there are businesses that specialize in spray cans that cost anywhere from $40 to $80 and last around 3 weeks. I know I offered up a lot of information and daunting statistics today, but as I wrap this up, there are two key things I'd like for you to remember about tanning beds. 1. There is no such thing as a safe tan because, beyond the shadow of doubt, using tanning beds before the age of 35 increases increases your risk of melanoma by 75%. Secondly, I'd like to show you the ABCD self-examination guide to melanoma and hope that if you, like me, have been a Canva user, you will take the time to do it. In closing, there is no way to reverse the damage that tanning beds have caused, according to the American Cancer Society, but quitting immediately is the only way to minimize health risk. It is a message that Megan, now fully recovered, spread by volunteering with the Melanoma Foundation of New England and the American Academy of Dermatology. Unfortunately, some teens aren't quite so lucky. Jamie Ray from Texas, a frequent tanning bed user, spent her school lunch hours secretly tanning at the local salon. At the age of 20, Jamie was diagnosed with melanoma, which she battled for 9 years before passing away. Jamie wanted a killer tan, and that's exactly what she got from her mother, Donna. She wanted other girls to know that the glow she got from tanning beds, which she thought was so attractive as a teenager, caused her years of pain. From having large disfiguring scars and losing her hair to needing an oxygen tank. The best advice is to learn to love the skin you're in so that you don't have to change it with tanning beds. Donna adds that Jamie's hairstyle is the harsh reality of what tanning can do to young women. Who is beautiful.